Sometimes the loudest cries are silent and the deepest wounds are invisible to the world. Known, hey, everyone, welcome to Revenge Stories 94. Tonight we dive deep into a story of invisible pain. A daughter who stood alone at her graduation, celebrated not by her parents, but by strangers and silence. This is a journey about shattered expectations, family betrayal, and the fierce power of reclaiming your voice when the ones you love choose to look away. If you've ever felt unseen or unheard in your own family, this story is for you. Before you settle in, please like this video and subscribe. Your support helps me create more stories that heal and inspire. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's connect. Now stay with me until the end. The lessons here are as profound as the pain. Hey guys, tonight we witness a betrayal so public, so cruel, it could have broken anyone. It was supposed to be a simple dinner, a modest celebration after 4 years of exhausting work, late night scholarships, and silence. We chose Giovanni's, the little Italian restaurant off Lincoln Avenue, where the lasagna is always too hot, and the servers call you Bella, even if they've never met you. Jesse made the reservation. Ethan brought flowers. Mrs. Reynolds drove 4 hours just to surprise me. We had a table for 6. I had worn a navy blue dress, not too formal, not too loud. I'd imagine my mom saying, "It brings out your eyes, Rachel." I'd imagine Dad clearing his throat before clinking a fork on his glass and saying something awkward but proud. I imagined them sitting right there across from me. But they didn't come, and the seat stayed empty. I was just reaching for the breadbasket when my phone buzzed. A story notification from Sierra. I didn't want to look, not really, but I tapped it anyway. And there it was, my mother in a plush white robe holding a flute of champagne beside Sierra at Monterey Spa Retreat. Their skin glowed, their teeth sparkled. The caption read, "Mother-Daughter Day before the big week." I stared at it like it was written in a language I couldn't understand. Sierra had posted the story that morning, the same day my name echoed through the auditorium speakers as valedictorian of the 2024 graduating class of Stanford University. "Too tired," they'd said. "Rachel, we've just had such a hectic month," my dad had told me over the phone. "All the traffic, the noise, the long ceremony. You understand, don't you? We're just too wiped out." I had said, "Sure, I understand. Happy graduation indeed." It's funny how betrayal doesn't always come with screaming. Sometimes it comes with an empty seat, a posted smile, and a silence you've heard all your life. Jessie must have seen something change in my face. She leaned over and whispered, "Do you want to step out?" I shook my head. Ethan offered me water, then gently placed a small gift-wrapped box in front of me. I didn't open it. I couldn't move. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was just heavy, like someone had turned gravity up inside my chest. Across from me, Mrs. Reynolds, elegant in a floral blouse and her signature silver hair pinned up, said softly, "You know, I never saw my mother at my own graduation either. She was busy with her third husband's bar." She smiled faintly. "But I showed up anyway." "You did too." I swallowed hard. I didn't trust myself to speak. Instead, I reached into my purse, pulled out the envelope I'd prepared for my parents, and stared at it. It was thick, made of embossed cream cardstock, handwritten in my own calligraphy, "To Mom and Dad, May 11th, 11:00 a.m. Please come." It would mean everything. I had driven 2 hours just to hand it to them last weekend. Mom said thanks and left it on the counter next to unopened mail. Dad asked why I didn't just send it digitally. Still, I had truly believed that they would come. Maybe because I had earned it. Maybe because I'd finally done something big enough. Maybe because in some deep part of me, the child I used to be still waited to be seen. I slipped the envelope back into my purse, untouched. Ethan reached for my hand under the table. "They'll see you eventually," he said. I looked him in the eye and replied, "No, they already saw me. They just didn't care enough to stay." I excused myself, walked into the bathroom, and locked the door. The room was small, warm from the kitchen pipes. There, in front of the mirror, I let my breath shake. No tears, not yet, just one long breath after another. Then I looked at myself and whispered, "You're going to say it anyway. Even if no one hears it, you're going to say it. Because that podium tomorrow, that wasn't for them anymore. It was for me. And maybe, just maybe, for every daughter who ever sat across from an empty chair and called it love." You wake the next morning with a strange sense of clarity. Not peace, not yet, but something sharper than grief, colder than disappointment. It's the kind of clarity that comes when you finally stop bargaining with silence. The sunlight bleeding through your dorm blinds is soft, filtered by the haze of coastal fog, and your gown hangs on the back of your closet door like a ghost. You sit up slowly, reaching for the notebook you left open on your desk. The one with the two speeches. The first draft still lies there, polished, optimistic, full of platitudes about perseverance and community. The second draft, written in a single breathless night, is raw and imperfect, but it's the truth. And today, the truth matters more than comfort. You glance at the small wrapped box Ethan gave you the night before. You haven't opened it yet. Something about it feels too tender for this morning. You need armor first. As you start to get ready, Jessie appears with a tray from the cafe downstairs, coffee, strawberries, and a scone that's probably too dry, but it's her way of saying, I see you without making a scene. You smile softly, gratefully. Neither of you says much. The ceremony begins just after 11. The stadium is already full by the time you arrive. Gowns rustle, tassels sway in the breeze. Photographers line the stage like quiet vultures. You scan the crowd, still clinging to a flicker of hope you didn't want to admit was there. But the 3 seats you reserved front row, clearly marked with their names, are empty. The placards flutter a little in the breeze. You don't look again. The procession begins. You walk with measured steps, head high, speech folder clutched tightly to your chest. Around you, proud parents wave frantically, calling out names, holding bouquets. One girl breaks ranks and hugs her crying mother before stepping back in line. You feel the hollowness spread inside you again, like ink and water, but you keep walking. The president of the university opens the ceremony with jokes and congratulations. He doesn't know your name yet, but he will. Then the dean of students steps up and says it. The title, your name, the words that feel surreal every time. Valedictorian of the graduating class of 2024, Rachel Alvarez. The applause is loud, almost kind. You walk up to the podium, your heels making soft taps on the wooden steps. The microphone waits. You set both speeches on the lectern side by side, and then you choose. You look out into the sea of faces. Some are familiar, Jessie, front row center, Ethan off to the left, eyes locked on yours, Mrs. Reynolds back, straight hands, folded lips, pressed but eyes shining, and then you speak. 4 years ago when we all arrived here, we were searching for something. Some of us wanted knowledge, some of us wanted belonging, some of us wanted to prove something. I was one of those people. Your voice is steady, but the air shifts. The audience leans in. I thought if I worked hard enough and earned enough awards, stayed late in libraries, and turned in papers 2 weeks early, someone might finally look up and say, you matter. You are enough. A murmur moves through the crowd, not disagreement, recognition. But what I learned here, what I had to learn slowly and sometimes painfully, is that visibility doesn't come from grades. It doesn't come from applause or diplomas or speeches like this. It comes from seeing yourself, from refusing to vanish just because others chose not to look. There's a long silence, the kind that isn't uncomfortable, just sacred. Today I look out and see empty chairs where my parents should be. They told me they were too tired to attend. But last night I saw a post, spa day with my sister, champagne, laughter. I wasn't invited. Another hush. You can feel the discomfort ripple, but no one moves. They stay with you. I don't share this out of bitterness. I share it because I know I'm not alone. I know there are others here today who have carried themselves across finish lines no one else cared to witness. You glance toward the live stream camera now. So if you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, know this. You were never invisible. You were never less. You were always enough. When you finish, the pause is longer than you expect. Then one by one, people begin to stand. The applause is thunderous. You don't cry, not yet. You leave the stage in silence, your speech still shaking in your hand, the first breeze of liberation brushing your skin. Behind you, the microphone is still warm, and somewhere on the other side of the live stream, you imagine your father reaching to close the browser window, but maybe, just maybe, he doesn't. Later that afternoon, you find yourself standing alone in the parking lot behind the auditorium. It's almost empty now, Most families have already driven off carrying flower bouquets, half-eaten cupcakes, and the glow of mutual pride. You aren't sure what you're doing here, really. Maybe retrieving something you forgot, maybe trying to exhale. You clutch your diploma cover in one hand and your folded gown in the other, unsure whether to feel victorious or hollow. Both emotions battle beneath your skin like oil and water. It's in that strange in-between moment that a car pulls up. It's a silver Lexus, you know it too well. And from the passenger side, Sierra steps out. She spots you instantly. There's no awkward wave, no pretense of surprise. She's dressed in a pale blue blouse and slim jeans, her hair still in the perfect loose waves you saw in her story. The spa must have used heat styling. You don't move. I figured I'd find you here, she says, stepping closer. You stare at her, heart thudding. Where's Mom and Dad? She crosses her arms, her face shifting from calm to defensive. They're at your dorm. They thought you'd be packing. They asked me to come look for you. Of course, you say nothing. She glances around the lot. They're upset. I mean what you said. You called them out in front of everyone, Mom cried. You let out a quiet breath through your nose. She cries easily when it's about her. Sierra flinches. There's a silence between you that feels like years. She breaks it. I didn't know they weren't going to come to your graduation. They just said we were having a family weekend, that we all needed to relax after a stressful month. You raise an eyebrow. Family weekend. You watch as the realization starts to creep across her face. She hadn't thought about the words then, but she's hearing them now. They never mentioned. Her voice trails off. I thought you were busy with something. Honestly, I didn't ask. You nod slowly, because it's easier not to ask, isn't it? That way you don't have to see it. You don't have to admit what you already know. Her arms drop. Rachel, when I was 12, you interrupt. I stayed up all night making a volcano for the science fair. You had your first ballet recital the same week. I remember Mom forgetting to pick me up because she was buying you new tights. I walked home with the volcano. It cracked on the sidewalk. She winces. You got flowers that night. I got a cracked model volcano and leftover spaghetti. Sierra doesn't deny it. She just stands there breathing heavily. I'm not blaming you, you continue, your voice quieter now, more tired. You were a kid too, and it's not your fault they gave you everything and told me to earn the scraps. But it is your fault if you keep pretending you don't see it now. She finally meets your gaze, and something inside her breaks. I do see it, she whispers. I just didn't know what to do with it. I've always felt like they wanted me to be this perfect version of themselves. Mom wants me to be liked, pretty, social. Dad wants me to marry well and not screw things up. Her voice cracks. I've never been allowed to fail. Not once. You got ignored, Rachel. But I got used. The words hit you in the chest, not like a punch, but like a shared confession long overdue. For a long time, neither of you speaks. You shift your diploma from one hand to the other. She brushes out a tear on her cheek, smudging her mascara slightly. They told me you thought you were better than us, she says, voice shaken. That you were cold, arrogant, that you never really wanted to be part of things. You close your eyes for a moment. I wanted them to show up, you say. That's all I ever wanted. Not a parade, not praise, just for them to show up. Sierra lowers herself onto the curb, knees pulled in palms, bracing the concrete. She looks small for the first time. Not composed, not perfect, just young and unsure. You sit beside her. She laughs softly, bitterly. You know what Mom told me yesterday, that your speech ruined the family's image? You nod. Because the image matters more than the truth. She said we could have had such a beautiful weekend. You glance at her. They did, just not with me in it. She wipes her nose on her sleeve and stares straight ahead. I'm sorry, Rachel, not just for yesterday, for the years I didn't ask, for being silent when you needed a witness. You believe her. Maybe not completely, but enough. The sun dips lower, shadows stretch across the pavement. Around you, the lot is still, and in that quiet something shifts, not resolved, but cracked open. You hand her a napkin from your tote bag. She dabs at her face and smiles, embarrassed. Do you need a ride back to campus, you ask gently. My car's in the shop, she says. Dad dropped me off. You nod. I'll take you, you say, standing up. But I'm not driving to Mom and Dad. Her eyes soften. I wasn't going to ask. You both walk to your car in silence, not the same silence as before, not heavy, not cold, just the kind of quiet that follows the first honest words in a long time. The next few days pass in a blur of packing boxes, goodbyes, and carefully rehearsed conversations. The weight of the speech still hangs in the back of your mind like a stone that refuses to settle. Back in your dorm room, Jessie is the steady presence you didn't realize you needed. She sorts through your scattered notebooks, occasionally humming softly to herself, as if to drown out the silence left by absent parents. Ethan calls, every evening voice, warm and steady, a lifeline you cling to when the nights get too long. But the hardest conversation still waits. When your phone buzzes with the message from your mother, your stomach knots. The text is brief, oddly formal. Rachel, we need to talk. You hesitate, fingers hovering above the keyboard. Do you respond? Ignore it. Set boundaries. Eventually, you type back, I'm ready when you are. The meeting is tense, set in a quiet cafe halfway between the city and your parents' home. David and Laura arrive separately, faces guarded eyes avoiding yours. Laura begins. We didn't realize how much our absence hurt you. David's voice is low but firm. I'm sorry for not being there for everything. You want to believe them, to hear the sincerity beneath the words. But years of silence and neglect have carved deep scars. You take a deep breath and pull out the folder you've been carrying the evidence you gathered in the quiet moments between packing and moving. Birthday cards with fading ink calendars marked with events they missed, receipts for gifts given unevenly. It's not a list of grievances, but a map of your childhood. This isn't about punishment, you say, voice steady. It's about truth, about what I needed from you and never got. Laura's eyes well up and David looks away, jaw clenched. You see the weight of their own regrets, their own unspoken disappointments. You were the smart one, you continue. The one we expected to succeed where we couldn't. It's a revelation that hangs heavy in the air. David nods slowly. I wanted to be proud. I wanted you to have everything I missed. But sometimes you interrupt gently wanting the best for someone doesn't mean seeing them for who they really are. The conversation twists and turns, brushing against anger, guilt, and a flicker of understanding. Laura admits she envied the ease with which Sierra captured attention. David confesses his own failures and insecurities. For the first time, the walls begin to crumble. Still, the path forward is unclear. You don't expect an instant miracle, just the possibility of change. After the meeting, you walk to your car, heart lighter, but cautious. You realize healing is not a destination, but a journey, a series of small steps and hard truths. That night, you call Sierra. Your voice is softer now, tinged with forgiveness. She answers immediately, relief flooding her words. I want us to be better, you say. We will be, she promises. And in that promise, you find hope. Back in your new apartment, the sunlight filters through sheer curtains. The city hums beyond your windows, a reminder that life moves forward relentless and beautiful. You make coffee, the aroma filling the quiet morning. As you fold a shirt, a memory surfaces, your mother's handwritten note in an old photo album, I see you. I always did, even when I didn't show it properly. You smile softly, tracing the words with your fingers. You are no longer invisible. You have spoken your truth, faced your past, and claimed your space. Outside, the city awakens. In the silence they left behind, you didn't just rebuild, you rose. The morning light stretches across your apartment, casting long shadows on the wooden floor. You sit at your small kitchen table, fingers wrapped around a warm cup of coffee. It's quiet here, the kind of quiet that isn't empty but full of possibility. The city buzzes faintly outside, but inside, you feel a calm that has been elusive for so long. Your phone buzzes, a message from Sierra. Hey, thinking about that conversation yesterday. Maybe we could meet up this weekend. Just us. You read it twice before replying. I'd like that. It's strange how a simple invitation can feel like a bridge over a vast distance. Years of silence, of being played against each other, of unspoken pain, now beginning to unravel with tentative threads of connection. You think back to the long talk in the parking lot, how vulnerable she looked, tears still staining her cheeks, yet somehow more real than you'd ever seen her. You realize that for years both of you had been trapped in the roles your parents assigned, the perfect one and the invisible one. But now, standing here, you know you're both more than those labels. The weekend arrives. You meet at a small cafe near the park, the kind with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh bread. Sierra is already there when you arrive, stirring her tea nervously. You sit opposite each other, a distance filled with years of missed birthdays, forgotten homework, and silent resentment. I've always envied your strength, Sierra says quietly, how you kept going even when it felt like no one cared. You smile softly, feeling the weight of those words, and I envied your lightness, how you seemed to float through things like nothing could touch you. She laughs a little bitter. It's not as easy as it looks. You nod. I know. For hours you talk, really talk about the things you never said before, about the pressure to be perfect, to meet impossible expectations, about the loneliness behind every smile. Sierra admits how suffocating it was to live up to your parents' idea of success, how every misstep felt like a personal failure, not just for her, but for the entire family. You share your own fears that no matter how hard you tried, you'd never be enough, that your worth was tied to achievements no one celebrated. There's no blame, no recrimination, just understanding. By the time you leave, the sun is dipping low, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. You walk side by side, lighter than you've been in years. Later, you sit by your window journal open on your lap. You write about the possibility of rebuilding, not just with your family, but within yourself, about the power of forgiveness, not as a gift to them, but as a way to free yourself from the past. Your phone buzzes again. This time, it's a photo Sierra holding a framed picture of the two of you from childhood, laughing. Underneath a message to new beginnings. You smile, your heart swelling. Maybe healing isn't about erasing the past. Maybe it's about choosing what to carry forward. And tonight, you choose hope. The next few weeks blur into a montage of goodbyes and hellos, of packing boxes and unpacking dreams. Your old life in California folds away like the pages of a worn book, and New York City opens its arms wide, humming with endless possibility. Your apartment in Brooklyn is small, more a nook than a home, but every corner is yours. The morning light spills through tall windows, illuminating the stacks of notebooks and half-read books scattered across the wooden floor. The city's pulse outside is relentless, a constant reminder that you've stepped into a new rhythm. Your first day at the Atlantic is a whirlwind. The pace is brutal, the standards sky high. Editors toss deadlines like grenades, and every sentence you write carries the weight of proving yourself not just as a journalist, but as a woman reclaiming her voice. You work late into the night, fueled by a blend of adrenaline and determination. The perfectionist inside you thrums with the need to be flawless, to finally earn the respect you always craved. But this time, the stakes feel different. This isn't about validation from absent parents. This is about your own integrity, your own story. Therapy sessions become a lifeline. Dr. Levine listens patiently as you unpack years of hurt and hope. She never offers quick fixes, but her guidance helps you untangle the knots inside, teaching you to recognize patterns, to set boundaries, to forgive without forgetting. One afternoon, you receive a letter. It's from your father. The stationery is different from the impersonal emails or quick texts you usually get. This one is handwritten on cream-colored paper with a shaky signature. He writes about his own regrets, about how your success reminded him of dreams he left behind. He admits he never fully understood the pressure he put on you or the toll it took. It's not an apology exactly, not yet, but it's a crack in the wall you thought was impenetrable. Around the same time, your mother sends a package to your apartment. Inside are homemade chocolate chip cookie bars, your favorite from childhood, and a photo album you never knew existed. The pages overflow with pictures of you at school plays, science fairs, and shy smiles on the playground. On the inside cover, in your mother's neat handwriting, a note reads, "I see you. I always did, even when I didn't show it properly." You hold the album close, feeling a mix of sadness and warmth wash over you. It's a small gesture, but it means the world. Your relationship with your parents remains complicated. Calls are infrequent, conversations guarded. But you're learning to accept what is while nurturing what can be. Sierra visits often now. She brings laughter, gossip, and moments of sisterhood you thought you'd never have. You explore the city together, walking through Central Park, sipping coffee in tucked away cafes, sharing secrets that used to feel too risky to speak aloud. One evening, as the skyline glows beneath a velvet sky, she turns to you and says, "I never hated you. I hated being compared to you." You smile, the tension between you unraveling like thread. I hated that too, you admit. But maybe we don't have to hate anymore. Your work flourishes. Editors praise your meticulous research and clear writing. You mentor younger interns, encouraging them to find their own voices. It's ironic, isn't it? After spending so long trying to be heard, you now help others speak out. Sometimes late at night, you sit by the window, watching the city lights blink like stars. You think about the journey that brought you here, the empty chairs, the whispered regrets, the battles fought in silence. And you know without a doubt that this is just the beginning. Months pass, seasons change, and you grow stronger with each step forward. The rawness of your graduation speech, once a source of anxiety, now feels like a badge of honor, a declaration of independence that still echoes in your heart. Your parents reach out more often, cautiously navigating the new terrain of your boundaries. Calls are shorter, more polite, but tinged with a tentative warmth you didn't expect. When they ask about your work or your life in New York, you answer honestly, but keep your guard up. There are difficult days too when old wounds ache unexpectedly, when a text message goes unanswered, or when you catch yourself searching for approval that you've long since learned to give yourself. Healing, you remind yourself, is not linear. Sierra becomes your closest ally. You share dreams, frustrations, and plans for the future. One afternoon, she surprises you with tickets to a lecture on women in media, knowing how much it means to you. You thank her with a hug, feeling the weight of years lifted by simple acts of kindness. Your therapy sessions continue to shape your understanding of yourself and your family. Dr. Levine encourages you to write a personal essay, one that expands on the themes of your speech, exploring invisibility, conditional love, and resilience. When the essay is published in a prominent literary magazine, the response is overwhelming. Messages pour in from readers who see their own stories reflected in your words. Women and men who have felt unseen, unheard, or undervalued. One letter stands out from Mrs. Reynolds, your high school English teacher. I always knew your words would change lives. I just never imagined how many, including your own. Your life begins to fill with moments you never dared to imagine: invitations to speak at conferences, collaborations with fellow journalists, friendships forged in authenticity rather than convenience. The holiday season arrives, bringing a mix of nostalgia and hope. For the first time, you decline an invitation to the family dinner, choosing instead to spend the evening with friends who have become your chosen family. The laughter is genuine, the conversation's deep. Late that night, your phone buzzes with a message from your mother. I'm proud of the woman you've become. You read the words carefully, savoring their sincerity. It's not everything you hoped for, but it's enough. You know the road ahead will still have bumps. Old patterns don't vanish overnight, and forgiveness isn't a single act, but a daily choice. But you feel ready now, ready to face whatever comes with grace and strength. You pour a cup of chamomile tea and settle into your favorite chair, the city skyline glowing softly beyond the window. You breathe deeply, feeling the calm that comes from knowing you've claimed your story. And as the night deepens, you whisper to yourself, in the silence they left behind, I didn't just rebuild, I rose. The soft morning light filters gently through the curtains of your small Brooklyn apartment, casting a warm glow on the worn wooden floors. You sit quietly at the kitchen table, a steaming cup of coffee cradled in your hands, watching the city slowly wake around you. The hum of distant traffic, the murmur of voices carried on the breeze, it all feels like a new beginning. The calm is different now. It isn't the absence of noise or pain, but the presence of peace, fragile and precious. Folding a freshly laundered shirt, your fingers trace the fabric thoughtfully, the rhythm soothing your restless mind. You think about the journey that brought you here, the long nights of tears, the quiet strength summoned in moments of loneliness, the courage it took to speak your truth. Your thoughts drift to the empty seats at your graduation, once a source of heartbreak, now transformed into a symbol of your resilience. You remember the look on your sister Sierra's face when she stood beside you in that empty parking lot, the shared tears that spoke of unspoken understanding. You recall the letter from your father and the photo album from your mother, imperfect gestures that hinted at beginnings rather than endings. You sip your coffee slowly, savoring the warmth as it spreads through you. The city outside bustles with life, unaware of your quiet victories, but that no longer matters. You have built a sanctuary here within yourself and in this small space that is yours alone. Memories rise walking through Central Park, with Sierra laughing over coffee in a tiny cafe, late night calls with Ethan and Jesse, therapy sessions where healing felt like a slow dance with your own soul. Each step has been a stitch in the fabric of your new identity, a tapestry woven from pain, love, and hope. You reach for your journal, opening it to a fresh page. Your pen moves effortlessly across the paper, writing words of kindness and encouragement, affirmations learned from a journey through darkness into light. You write not just for yourself, but for every woman who has felt invisible, unheard, or unworthy. In the stillness, you whisper to the room, to the city, to the universe, I am seen. I am heard. I am enough. You rise from the table and walk to the window, pulling back the curtains wider. The morning sun bathes the room in golden light. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the promise of a new day. Outside life continues, messy, beautiful, unpredictable, but inside, you have found your anchor. And in the silence they left behind, you didn't just rebuild, you rose. As Maya Angelou once said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Tonight's story reminds us all silence can imprison us, but courage can set us free. In sharing her truth, Rachel didn't just break free from invisibility, she forged a new path of healing and hope. Her journey teaches us that even when those closest to us fail to show up, our worth remains undeniable. It is in speaking our truth that we reclaim our power. If this story moved you, please leave a comment sharing your own experiences or thoughts. Remember to subscribe to Revenge Stories 94. Your voice matters here, and together we create a community of strength and resilience. Thank you for watching this heartfelt story. May you find the courage to rise just as Rachel did.